Good morning. It is Monday, the 23rd of October, 2023, and this is the Monday Morning Report. My name is Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column. Well, things are not looking too good for just about everyone in the Middle East, and by extension, much of the world. The Israelis are still apparently gearing up for an invasion of the Gaza Strip, the northern part, and that's something that Hamas really wants them to do. Anybody who's following this would see that. And that will probably be a bloodbath for both sides. In fact, it will certainly be a bloodbath for both sides. At the same time, Israel is fighting, having some skirmish, as it were, with Hezbollah in the northern part of Israel, the southern part of Lebanon. There are shells being sent back and forth, and people are being killed. It's not as intense as it could be, but that's another front to this war. And then there's also the West Bank, where there's some police action, if you want to call it that, going on there, and people are being killed there. You have to remember that the Gaza Strip is about as big as 2 Washington, D.C.s. That's not a lot of territory. And this whole thing is also spreading. Syria looks like they're going to get involved somehow. Iran is the big question mark. They're definitely a major military power in the region. The U.S. has 2 battle groups, one headed by the carrier USS Gerald Ford, the other one by the carrier USS Eisenhower. There have been some reports that that are more like rumors, I would say at this point, but I think they're worth passing on, that Gerald Ford was going to be heading through the Suez Canal. Yesterday, they were served steak and lobster on the ship, and anyone in the Navy will tell you when they serve steak and lobster and it's not a holiday, it means they're going to be having some bad news for the crew. Real good food. You keep people's spirits up as much as possible with real good food, but that was an interesting bit of news that leaked out. I'm not going to go into all the technical stuff. The Russians are, into this. They have hypersonic weapons that could easily take out a carrier or 2, and carriers have thousands of sailors on board. This has every making of the potential for World War III. Anybody who follows history or knows this is much worse than the war that Israel fought in 1973. This is actually worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1962. A little bit of background, if you don't want to read books on the subject too much. Kevin Costner's movie 13 Days is pretty good, and I would recommend showing that to people if you want, or seeing it yourself, of course. That shows exactly when very, very battle-hardened World War II veterans, i.e. Mr. Kennedy and Mr. Khrushchev, did everything they could to avoid blowing up the world. Sadly, we do not have leaders who are that intelligent or that rational. This is a religious war. This is not about land, really. I mean, Palestine is pretty much gone. The Gaza Strip has pretty much been obliterated. This is all about religion. It's about Islam versus Judaism and Christianity mixed up in there. The idea that the United States could go to war over this is actually, to this reporter, quite insane. Billions and trillions of dollars have been spent on foreign aid over the decades, since the 1940s, on stabilizing that part of the world. It hasn't been stabilized. It's gotten worse. And we have propped up this region, much to the detriment of our own country and our own people. If you think of what we could have done with all that money, it's actually a better idea to mind your own business. Although the U.S. is too far intertwined with this, many members of the Biden cabinet are themselves Jewish, and apparently a few are dual nationals with Israel. So, and Mr. Biden went off to Israel, and he keeps talking about how much he's backing everything. They're not looking for a solution. They're not looking to rein Israel in. A lot of people are dying every day. In fact, yesterday, 400 more civilians were killed or in the Gaza Strip. This could go bad. The news is changing by the hour at times, so I'm not going to try to make any predictions of what's going to happen. I do not have any inside information with any of the parties. A lot of people are making guesses. A lot of people are making predictions. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to recommend to people, though, is to basically prepare yourself for serious disruptions of just about everything this country has. It could be, I'm not what would they call a prepper. I'm not one of these people that have stockpiled a massive amount of food and weapons and first aid kits and everything like that. But it does pay to be a bit cautious of where things could go. I do expect to see food prices shoot up. I do expect to see gasoline go through the roof. And that's something that people are going to have to be prepared for. But this just shows the total incompetence of the Biden administration. And this is something anybody who was being rational in 2020 at the election knew about. This was where it was going to go. Mr. Biden obviously is weak, has no clue. His cabinet is very has some bias in it, shall we say? And at the same time, there are protests in streets all over the world about the U.S. and Israel and what's going on. I would recommend basically being prepared. Do stockpile a bit of food. Do plan on traveling if you have to. I would recommend if you're overseas to return back to the United States. This does have the making of basically a long-term global conflict. Now, during World War II, people who were traveling, even got stuck overseas, got killed or, in some cases, taken captive. That happened to many Americans who were caught in the Far East on business. I got to meet some of these people back in the 1990s during the 50th anniversary of the end of World War II. I got to meet people who had been held captive by the Japanese, some of whom were deformed because they were children and they were malnourished. But if you're overseas and war breaks out, there's a good chance you're going to be stuck there for a long, long time. What we can hope for, or in some cases pray for, is some rationality to be picked up by these people. I don't see any leader stepping onto the stage who is up to the job. And being realistic is not the same as being pessimistic. It's being realistic. So we have an incompetent government that is very weak. We have the Russians and Chinese. Oh, the Chinese, by the way, they're sending warships to the region. And by the way, the Chinese run it. I don't know if many people know this, but the Chinese manage the Israeli port of Haifa. It was built by the U.S., built with U.S. money, a deep sea port that was supposed to be used by the U.S. Navy. And the Chinese now run it, and the U.S. Navy doesn't use it. There's a lot of strange relationships in this whole mess. Hopefully someone can step in and get everyone to start seeing reason, but who knows what's going to happen. I would just say watch and hold on to your hats, have some basic emergency supplies on standby. That's always a good idea, by the way. Candles, backpacks with food and things such as that. But some people have been in touch with me on email, and they asked me, what do we do? And they said, should we pray? And I said, well, if you pray, that doesn't hurt. It may even help. I'm not going to give any religious commentary, but if you pray, don't pray for peace. Don't pray for peace. Pray for sanity. Pray for sanity because that's what's needed. All of this is based on the insanity of religious fanaticism based on a Bronze Age belief system that came out of the deserts of the Middle East. I'm sorry to be so antiseptic about it. Whatever your religion is, that's fine with you, but that's what we're looking at. And people in the modern age where we have traveled to other planets are going to be slaughtering each other, possibly in the hundreds of thousands, over disagreements of religion that are thousands of years old. And I'm not going to lie, I find that nuts. So if you do pray, pray for sanity. Peace follows. Okay, that's all I want to go into today. There are some other things that are happening. One is Ammunition and gun prices are rising, but gun sales are through the ceiling. This is not yet being reported. I only know this because I know people in the business. Ammunition is rising and going up in prices as our firearms are selling like hotcakes. This is something that usually happens when people get fearful. If you do buy firearms, please learn how to use them properly. Get proper instruction. Do not remember that you are dealing with devices designed to kill people, so you better take that into account. Guns do not make you safe. Being smart makes you safe. Okay, and this is a guy who is quite familiar with firearms and quite proficient in them. I can also tell you that that most people do never get the training they need to use them properly. So that being said, I'm going to sign off for today. If you like what you hear, and you like what I say, and you like some of my other writings that are still coming out pretty soon, please like and subscribe. If you care to make a donation, that would definitely be a big help. It would give me the time to report more and more on what's going on. Also a paid subscription on Substack, where you can find my work. And as of now, I may be doing a special report over the next couple of days if something significant happens, something much more significant than what's been going on, although that might be hard to top. Be safe, be good, take care, and good day.